Like to read my essay out loud, and I have chosen B, nonfiction, and it is an essay on Cecil Walther Han's essay, City Child, Country Kid. There are many different ways to feel at home, and it varies from person to person. Analogous, there are plenty of different ways to feel safe. Some prefer to live in the silent and peaceful countryside, whereas some prefer to live in the city, in which the comforting human noises and the great amount of opportunities fill up the silence. Exactly the themes safety and country versus nature are central themes in the essay City Child, Country Kid, which was written by Cecil Walther Han in 2005. Cecil Walther Han underpins her arguments by including stories, knowledge, and experiences from her own childhood and adult life. Consequently, the tone of the text is personal, and the author's individual viewpoints are clear. Thus, the text is dominated by the pathos appeal, which is used extensively in order to make the reader agree with the author. The essay appeals to the emotions of the audience with emotional language, passion, and a personal angle. Furthermore, the use of narrative elements is used very frequently in the essay and contributes to the fact that everyone can relate to the essay. I would wander all I wanted in the suburban woods and try to be interested in the skunk cabbage, but none of it held a candle to the magnificent variety of the conservatory garden, or even the rolling land around Cleopatra's Needle. The anecdotes are built on something personally experienced, which makes the points clear. By the use of personal angle, Cecil Walther Han managed to establish herself as a reliable person. This personal style, however, restricts the essay's amount of audience. Occasionally, the text is very esoteric because the personal style and the detailed descriptions of New York and the Central Park are more suited for a reader who is familiar with the life in the city, particularly in the life in New York. As a result, the essay becomes confined to an exclusive group. The use of contrast is a frequent stylistic effect throughout the essay. The use of contrasts functions as a rhetorical device through which Cecil Walther Han identifies differences between two places. The entire text is built upon the contrast between the urban and the suburbia. The author uses this stylistic effect as an instrument to argue in favor of the life in the city. What separates the urban life from the suburban life is the vocabulary. The adjectives which are added to the suburbia are negative, whereas the adjectives and the tone in the text are positive when describing the urban life. They wanted a place in the real country, and this desire to migrate from the magical city to the endless driving and the tight little lawns of suburbia seemed to animate their friends as well. In this example, positive adjectives such as magical are words linked to the urban life, whereas negative adjectives and phrasings such as endless driving are linked to the suburbia. Even though this kind of contrasts work effectively, other contrasts can be found implicit in the text. Cecil Walther Han states her point of view by the use of rhetorical questions as well. Why would I want to swim in someone's muddy pond, crawling with leashes, when I could perch myself on a marble basin and cool myself with splashing water? Through these contrasts, Cecil Walther Han makes her arguments stronger and more memorable for the reader. The fact that the entire text is built upon this contrast and the fact that the author's point of view is partial, however, makes the essay subjective and unvaried. The text creates a pursuing and provocative tone because of the use of this contrast. The theme of the text, country versus nature, appears clearly because the essay is built upon the contrast between the urban and the suburbia. Cecil Walther Han's main claim is that the combination of nature and human creates the perfect environment. It is the collision of man and nature, the collaboration of the human and the divine that makes the most poignant landscape. Cecil Walther Han points out that especially Central Park is an example of a place which has the perfect combination of nature and human. Another theme of the text is safety. The essay fundamentally deals with the advantage of living in the city and the complex of problems concerning the suburbia. She states, "I long for the safety of the city, where nature is so beautifully and spectacularly kept in a leash." Thus, the author expresses that safety is the biggest advantage of a life in the city. I have to confess that in the real country, far from other people and the cozy hum of electric generators and the clatter of traffic, I am often frightened. According to Cecil Walther Han, the safety of the urban is created by the comforting human noises and the great amount of opportunities. To sum up, the themes which are explored in the text are safety and country versus nature. According to Cecil Walther Han, the real country is in the city, particularly in Central Park in New York. According to the author, the urban is a natural wonderland because it is wild enough to delight and tame enough to enjoy. The use of vocabulary is decisive for the construction of the big contrast between the urban and the suburbia. The way in which Cecil Walther Han describes the life in the urban using emotional language creates pathos. Furthermore, the use of narrative elements and the use of a personal angle makes her message clear. This personal style, on the other hand, contributes to the fact that the essay is esoteric.